All right, so inside zone is the easiest way to do RPOs because as you see, there's no interior gap problem, which gets me to power. Power is, you have to coach your quarterback up when you get to power. And here's how. As simple as this sounds, I'm going to start getting into the gap scheme RPOs. And everybody's a little worried and scared to run gap scheme RPOs, and here's why. But here's how I explain it to my quarterbacks. And if you explain it this way, they will understand it a lot better. The great part about power is I'm taking a backside gap and adding it to the front side. I'm going to take the backside guard and pull him to the front side. So I took a gap here and added the gap here. And when I explain it that way, then they understand that that means we are losing a gap on this side of the field. I'm asking the center to block A gap to B gap. I'm asking the tackle to block B gap to hinging back to C gap. And there's a verse, I think in Matthew 6, that says you can't serve two masters. There's no possible way that both of those guys can serve two different gaps. So we get our gap down blocking. Our fullback's going to J block that defensive end. We pull for the mic. We gap seal hinge here. So on any of our diagrams that I ever show my quarterback, he will have an arrow right there that says hot gap. I've got to understand if they bring any pressure to the gap seal hinge, I am not throwing a late RPO because they are going to hit me in the back. And I make them sign an insurance waiver when I go over this with them. So if they do pull it and throw one, I can say, hey, I gave you all this info. I told you were going to get hit. So now you can't blame me for it. Now, we're going to run the two receiver spot out here. All right. The Z is taking the 2 steps, and he's coming back down the stem to catch the 2 receiver spot. The Y is protecting for the 2 receiver spot. Whoever triggers that spot, who's normally going to be the corner in most situations. Now, into the boundary, we're going to run an expanded hitch. If the quarterback, anytime the single receiver is the pre-snap expanded hitch, the quarterback can give him any other quick game he wants to. So if he wants to give him a slant, he wants to give him the speed out, he wants to give him a fade, quarterback has the freedom to look out here and give him any of those things. But just the install play is an expanded hitch. All right? The tailback is going to slide and dive down an A gap. And if A gap is open, he takes it. If A gap is not open, he gets in the hip pocket of the pulling guard to hit power that everybody knows. Now, this, because the quarterback on this play is turning 90 degrees and riding downhill, it almost looks like the old school midline, how I'm going to ride it straight downhill with a 90-degree footwork. This side over here is where I turn my back to. So this expanded hitch is my pre-snap. If I can look out there and throw the hitch, you have the freedom to do it. But I ask the quarterbacks too, do I have to throw a hitch? Do you have to throw a 5-yard hitch route? I would much rather have a 7-yard downhill power run play than catch a 5-6 yard hitch. This is to fix the D gap. So this boundary safety is tight to the fit, then throw it. If neither of those two, between the corner and the safety, are tight to the fit, then there's no reason to throw it. It's to fix a gap. All right, so this is pre-snap fixing the D gap. I'm on post-snap now. Ryan Reed, Sam linebacker. It's a Sam linebacker, comes downhill and gets in the fit in my ride. Then I pull it and I throw the 2 receiver screen. Now, the problem with this 2 receiver screen out here is some people are probably going to ask, what if you get man? And I went over this at the beginning of the podcast or the interview here, is you have man answers built in. I'm probably not leaving this on. We're probably going to check into whatever our man-answer is for that week. So this is an off coverage concept. I want to attack whoever's getting off coverage with my RPO concept. All right. So that is our power, first power RPO that we're going to put in.